"I've heard of you," said the old vagabond, very impressed. "Aren't you the adventurer who slew all those ash vampires in Ghostgate a couple of months back?" "That I am," said Aristian Silverthorn, with a weary smile for his admirer. He knew that his name was not yet legendary, and it was best to be polite. "And you are?" "My name would have no meaning to you, but I'm Era Darathil," he said, raising a glass of grief. "I hail from the region of Ghostgate, which is how I heard your name. Are you on an adventure as we speak?" "Yes," said Silverthorn, with a grim expression. "I'm challenged to rid the Grayslands of a rogue battle mage by the name of Igro Amaro." "I've heard of him as well," said Darathil. "He is said to be very powerful, an implacable foe." "That is why I'm drinking now," sighed Silverthorn. "So tell me, what is your profession?" "I do nothing," said Darathil with some measure of pride. "But in my youth I used to teach the skills of illusion at the University of Gwilym." "Perhaps you can help me then," said Silverthorn, suddenly excited. "Can you teach the spell Silence? I can certainly pay you." "I know that spell," said Darathil. "You might find invisibility very helpful as well, or perhaps darkness, which would allow you to sneak up on old Egro Amaro." "No," said Silverthorn firmly. "I only have time to learn one spell. I have to kill Egro Amaro, collect the award, and be back in Nisis as quickly as possible. My wife worries when I'm away." Darathil agreed, and as the two settled back in their seats at the corner club and tossed back glasses of grief, the old man shared his knowledge of the spell. He explained what it truly meant to bend sound, creating a cone of silence as glass can bend light. He had Silverthorn close his eyes while he tapped the side of his glass, making him picture the sound as the physical entity it was before it was extinguished. The adventurer, after a few hours of instruction, paid the old teacher and set off on his way. In Doranyon, Egro Amaro's stronghold, was not far from Sadrith Mora, and he soon saw the blight and ruin that was the battle mage's calling card. Delving into the depths of the ruins, Silverthorn was set upon by the servitors of Egro Amaro, living and undead. With his enchanted ebony blade, he cut through legions before facing the master himself in the desolate main hall. Egro Amaro bowed to his adversary sardonically and then prepared to unleash a fireball to incinerate him. Before he had uttered the first word of the spell, he suddenly found that all the creaking and sighing of the ruins around him had been stilled. He opened his voice to speak, but there was no sound. Silverthorn took his time, strolling across the length of the hall before dispatching the battle mage with one stroke of his blade. The adventurer rushed back to the tribunal temple where he had received his quest, accepted the gold and the thanks, and was back in his house in Nisis but a few days later. His wife, Lyra, was beside herself with worry. "All I could do night after night is toss and turn. I kept imagining you burned to ashes by that battle mage, and where would that leave me? Do we have enough gold that I could support myself if you, since Serin let it not be so, were killed during one of these jaunts? I don't think so. Why couldn't you get a nice position at the Fighters Guild right here in town? I hear they're looking for a trainer for the Imperial Guard. I know. You want a life of adventure and danger and freedom. But if you'd only take one moment to think of me, stuck here all by myself, worrying about you. I suppose you'd like it if I took more of an interest in your work. But it's like I was telling Sir Calissa Vignum the other day. I said, Calissa, what good is a husband? Leah continued to talk, deaf to the fact that her words were dead before they left her mouth. Silverthorn smiled and nodded his head, enjoying the silence. He could have killed Egro Amaro without the spell, he considered, but he could not have survived his wife.
piece of the nine to you.
Welcome. I'm Mauritius Maro. You're in the village of Nisus. If you're a pilgrim, you're probably looking for the Mask of Vivek at the Nisus Temple. Otherwise, I can help you find what you are looking for. The Nisus Imperial Cult Shrine is in Fort Darius at the far east edge of town. The altar there cures disease and poison. Chaplain Ogrul is the cult healer for the Deathshed Legion garrison, but he also serves the civilian populace as well. Vivek's ash mask is a holy relic displayed within the shrine of the Nisus Temple. Pilgrims travel from all over Morrowind to view this sacred artifact. Nisus Temple is the only shrine in Nisus. Pilgrims visit the temple to pray before the Mask of Vivek, a holy relic. The temple maintains a hostel for pilgrims and travelers and provides the other services common at any small shrine. Welcome, I'm Alien Carbo. You're in the village of Nisus. If you're a pilgrim, you're probably looking for the Mask of Vivek at the Nisus Temple. Otherwise, all right, ask your question. Darius is our Imperial Legion commander here in the Death's Head Legion garrison. You can find him downstairs at the Madak Trade House.
Probably nothing. Can you even be trusted?
This handy booker doth contain all diverse manner of riddles and follies, and by means of careful study, the prudent, scholarly gentleman may find himself no longer discomfited by the sharp wit of his fellows. The posing and puzzling of riddles is a convention of polite, aristocratic Western society. Nobles and social aspirants collect books of riddles and study them, hoping thereby to increase the chances of their appearing sly and witty in conversation. The question, it has a tail, a side and a head. I call it what I call a snake. It has no body and it is dead. The answer, it must be a drake. The question, poets know the hearts of men and myrrh, but beasts can't know my heart. You see, this book was written by a bear. The answer, it is not a book of poetry. The question, I gave you a sock, not unlike a box, with hammers and nails all around it, two lids open when it knocks. The answer, it must have been a great hit. And even if we overlook the dubious moral and legal justifications for hundreds of years of occupation of these two provinces, what economic or military benefits can we derive from Morrowind and Black Marsh? Indeed, a few beneficiaries of imperial monopolies in the provinces do profit from exploitation of their wealth and resources. But does the empire as a whole benefit? Hardly. The vast machineries of the imperial bureaucracies cost far more to maintain than can be recovered in duties and taxes, and the cost of establishing and maintaining the garrisons of the Imperial Legion in the far-flung wilderness posts of these provinces would be cost-effective only if there were evidence of a military threat from the east. But no such evidence exists. No army of Morrowind or Black Marsh has ever threatened the security of any other imperial province, let alone the security of Cyrodiil itself. In fact, a greater threat to imperial security lies in the idle legions that the taxpayer spends thousands of drakes to support. The generals of these legions, facing no enemies or opposition within the borders of their provinces, may look with ambition to the west. With their loyal veteran troops and coffers fattened by friendly monopolists, they become unpredictable political factors in the uncertainties surrounding the imperial succession. If the occupation of Morrowind and Black Marsh were motivated by idealistic aspirations, perhaps there might lie some justification for bearing the burden of empire.
What, Outlander?
But consider the shame of the empire's mute acceptance to the unspeakable practice of slavery in Morrowind. Instead of using our imperial legions to free the wretched Khajiit and Argonian slaves from their Dunmer masters, we pay our troopers to protect the indefensible institution of slavery. Within the ebony mines of Morrowind, bloated monopolists under imperial charters exploit slave labor to harvest the outrageous profits assured by rampant graft and corruption. Consider the colossal arrogance of our proposition to bring peace and enlightenment to the East, when in fact we have only brought our armies into lands who have never threatened us, and when we have only exploited the most shameful and evil practices we have found in Morrowind and Black Marsh,
one among
simply
thousands.
to enrich
I bring
the
you a
friends and
message.
flatterers of the
Dagoth calls you,
imperial
and you
family.
cannot deny your lord.
Impartially
The sixth house is
considered,
risen, and
our
Dagoth is
occupation
its
of the
glory.
eastern provinces is morally corrupt, militarily indefensible, and economically ruinous. The only conclusion is that we should disband the Eastern legions, withdraw the imperial bureaucracies and monopolists from the East, and give these ancient lands and peoples their freedom. Only by doing so may we hope to preserve the fragile ideals and fortunes of Western culture. Up until he was 10 years old, Owen Parnafakasis was in an elite group of the very best families of Gnisis. They went to the very best tailors, shared the same tutors, played in the same exclusive company. When his mother died and his father discovered that the money they had been living on was based on a thief's salary, he suddenly found himself on a very different kind of society, one that he had been ill-equipped to deal with. They were poor. Owen eventually learned to make a living at the only skill he seemed to be well suited for: gardening. In time, he had grown an impressive garden of willow anther, gold cannet, chokeweed, white bloatroot, and trauma shrubs. He had also grown himself into a remarkably uninteresting man. Aside from his gardening, he had little to say for himself: unlearned, uncharismatic, unathletic, uncoordinated. And yet he yearned. Specifically, he yearned for a girl he had known before all his trouble, a sweet thing with curly locks and a joyous laugh, named Benita Gorgoth. Once, when at play, he had pushed a bully away who was trying to hurt her, and the look of appreciation she gave him was enough to make all his days since then worth their while. As he tended his garden one springtide, not very many years ago, he heard some people talking through the thick, tall trauma shrubs about the marriage of Sedura Indoril Pavflek Mamuna, one of the wealthiest and most respected nobles in Gnisis, and Seryo Benita Gorgoth. His heart fell. She had found another a mere 9 years since she had given him that look while at play. As spring turned into summer and summer into fall, Owen began to sell his herbs, including some to Kina Yakin Bael, a prominent healer in town. He'd been a tutor to both Benita and Owen and told the young man that the lady's husband was not very well. Owen held back his happiness and continued on his errands. Not long afterwards, Sedura Indoril Pavflek Mamuna fell ill and died, despite all the skills of the great healers, including Yakin Bael. When Owen came to deliver the herbs that day, he said, "If you are still in communication with Benita, please give her my sympathy." "Child," said Yakin, "if I could get a word in with her counselors. They are trying to find her real husband, and she has made it clear that she will only marry the strongest man in Morrowind." "Who is that?" asked Owen. "Horath the Strong." Up until he was 10 years old, Owen Parnafakasis was in an elite group of the very best families of Gnisis. They went to the very best tailors, shared the same tutors, played in the same exclusive company. When his mother died and his father discovered that the money they had been living on was based on a thief's salary, he suddenly found himself on a very different kind of society, one that he had been ill-equipped to deal with. They were poor. Owen eventually learned to make a living at the only skill he seemed to be well suited for: gardening. In time, he had grown an impressive garden of willow anther, gold cannet, chokeweed, white bloatroot, and trauma shrubs. He had also grown himself into a remarkably uninteresting man. Aside from his gardening, he had little to say for himself: unlearned, uncharismatic, unathletic, uncoordinated. Specifically, he yearned for a girl he had known before all his trouble, a sweet thing with curly locks and a joyous laugh, named Benita Gorgoth. Once, when at play, he had pushed a bully away who was trying to hurt her. The look of appreciation she gave him was enough to make all his days since then worth their while. As he tended his garden one springtide, not very many years ago, he heard some people talking through the thick, tall trauma shrubs about the marriage of Sedura Indoril Pavflek Mamuna, one of the wealthiest and most respected nobles in Gnisis, and Seryo Benita Gorgoth. His heart fell. She had found another a mere 9 years since she had given him that look while at play. As spring turned into summer and summer into fall, Owen began to sell his herbs, including some to Kina Yakin Bael, a prominent healer in town. He'd been a tutor to both Benita and Owen, and told the young man that the lady's husband was not very well. Owen held back his happiness and continued on his errands. Not long afterwards, Sedura Induril Pavflek Mamuna fell ill and died, despite all the skills of the great healers, including Yakin Bael. When Owen came to deliver the herbs that day, he said, "If you are still in communication with Benita, please give her my sympathies." "Chow," said Yakin. "If I could get a word in with all her counselors. They are trying to find her a new husband, and she has made it clear that she will only marry the strongest man in Morrowind." "Who is that?" asked Owen. "Horath the Strong," replied Yakin. "It is said that he can lift a wagon with but his forefinger and thumb." "You can teach me a spell that will fortify my own strength," said Owen. "I beg you to teach it to me now." "Very well," replied Yakin. "But in return, I want your next season's worth of trauma root, all to myself." Owen agreed, and Yakin taught him the spell to fortify his strength. It took him some time to master it, visualizing magicka streaming through his body, pumping through the very fibers of his muscles for a time, giving him strength far beyond the puny power nature had intended. When Owen met Horath on the street of Nisis, he cast the spell and challenged him to a duel of strength. "I am Horath the Strong," said Horath the Strong, predictably. "Witness as I lift this wagon with but my thumb and forefinger." And he did so. "I am Nimlom the Mighty," said Owen, taking some artistic liberty. "Witness as I lift the stable that houses your wagon with but my forefinger." And he too did so. The word went out quickly throughout Morrowind. The strongest man alive was in the province. Owen went to visit his friend, Yakin Bael. Her lady Benita has heard of the strength of Nimlom the Mighty and has said that she was mistaken. She was not looking for a man of strength to marry, but a man of intelligence, a great scholar, the greatest in all Morrowind. "Who is that?" asked Owen. "Kina Warfell Thomasin," replied Yakin. "It is said that he can best any man or woman in a battle of wits." "You can teach me a spell that will fortify my own intelligence," said Owen. "I beg you to teach it to me now." "Very well," replied Yakin, "but in return I want your next season's worth of white bloatroot, all to myself." Owen agreed, and for the next couple of weeks Yakin taught him the spell and trained him in its use. He taught him how to entrench his mind for the sudden assault of awareness and aptitude that would assail it, how to give himself to the sudden thoughts and theorems that would invade his consciousness. When he met Warfell Thomasin in the Mages Guild of Gnesis, he cast his spell and gave the challenge. "I am Kina Warfell Thomasin, and I can prove that Akatosh, Nirn, and Oblivion are one," said Warfell, writing out the mathematical formula that showed it was so. "I am Kena Zombel Mokafa, and I can prove that you do not exist," said Owen. He wrote out the mathematical formula which proved correct, and Kena Warfell Thomasin vaporized on the spot. The word went out quickly throughout Morrowind. The most intelligent man alive was in the province. Owen went to visit his friend, Yakin Bael. Her lady Benita has heard of the intelligence of Kena Zombel Mokafa and has said that she was mistaken. She was not looking for a man of intelligence to marry, but a man of endurance, a rock, the greatest in all Morrowind. "Who is that?" asked Owen. "I would say Master Kombova," said Yakin. "They say he can stand in blue flames for 20 minutes. "You can teach me a spell that will fortify my own endurance," said Owen. "I beg you to teach it to me now." "Very well," replied Yakin, "but in return I want your next season's worth of chokeweed, all to myself." Owen agreed, and for the next several weeks he learned the spell to make his endurance like that of the oldest stone. He learned how to shrug off the effects of frost, poison, fire, and charges of lightning, pulling the pain into a reservoir of magicka and expelling it. The lesson learned, he came across Master Kombova at the Madak trade house. "My name is Master Kombova," said the fellow, nudging the witch next to him. "Kina Leles, cast a ball of blue flame for me." And he sat in the inferno of flame for 20 minutes before he left. "Master Kombova, my name is Master Vomf," said Owen. "Kena Leles, cast a ball of blue flames for me." Owen sat in the inferno of blue fire for very nearly an hour before he left. The word went out quickly throughout Morrowind. The toughest man alive was in the province. Owen went to visit his friend, Yakin Bael. "Her Lady Bonita has heard of the endurance of Master Vomf," he said, not entirely approving of Owen's latest sobriquet, "and has said that she was mistaken. She was not looking for a man of endurance to marry, but a man of agility, a nimble acrobat, the greatest in all Morrowind." "Who is that?" asked Owen. "I would say Funkrazo Prief," said Yakin. "They say he is the greatest shield blocker and pickpocket in Morrowind." "You can teach me a spell that will fortify my own agility," said Owen. "I beg you to teach it to me now." "Very well," replied Yakin, "but in return I want your next season's worth of gold cannet, all to myself." Owen agreed, and Yakin taught him the spell that would fire his impulses with magicka. Over several weeks he learned how to supplant his own natural energy with the spells, how to view the world at the slower pace a man with advanced agility sees. In time, Owen came upon Funkrazo in a field outside the city, doing his regular exercises. Owen cast his spell and approached the acrobat. "Ah, behold the power of the amazing Funkrazo Prief," said the aforementioned, and prompted his sparring partner to attack him with his sword. He blocked the blows effortlessly with a shield for 10 minutes, and then revealed afterwards that he had picket-pocketed the young man's purse.
"Spit it out."
"Very impressive, Sir Prief. Now behold the power of the remarkable Gazoof Mao," said Owen, and prompted Prief's sparring partner to attack him with his sword. After 20 minutes of blocking the man's blows with his shield, he revealed that he had pickpocketed Funkrazo Prief's purse. The word went out quickly throughout Morrowind. The most agile man alive was in the province. Owen went to visit his friend, Yakin Bael. The door was closed this time, and he heard voices within. "Have you heard about the remarkable Gazoof Mao?" Yakin Bael was asking. "He sounds like a very promising suitor." "The truth is, Kena, that I have no more interest in him than I had in Nimlom the Mighty, Kena Zombel Mokafa, or Master Vomf," replied a feminine voice that seemed familiar to Owen. "I will have to invent a new test for suitors, while I search for my true love." "You don't wish to marry the strongest, most intelligent, toughest, most agile suitors?" asked the old healer. "No, not at all," said the woman. "I had to make some kind of test to rebuff the advances of so many men interested in my money and the money of my late husband. The truth is that I've never forgotten the young boy who was so kind to me when I was a little girl, and so brave fighting off the bullies. His name was Owen Parnafakasi." Owen burst into the room and was reunited with Bonita. They were married at once. A week later, he returned to Yakin Bael and learned how to fortify his personality in exchange for next season's worth of willow anther. Then they lived happily ever after.
So, Outlander, have you completed the initiation rite? So, Outlander, have you completed the initiation rite? This is my father's Bonebiter Bow. You have completed the initiation rite. I name you clan friend of the Ashlanders. Keep my father's bow and bear it with honor. You are a friend of our tribe and may rest in any Urshilaku bed. But do not harm other tribe members or take their things. And now I will fulfill my other promise. Go to the wise woman's yurt, and Nibani Maisa shall examine you and test you against the Nerevarin prophecies. Now that you are a clan friend, I want to speak plainly. I find it hard to believe that you are the Nerevarin. You are an outlander, but the Nerevarin comes to drive all outlanders from Morrowind. How could an outlander be the incarnate? The great houses stole our lands and mocked us with false gods. The godless Outlanders steal our land and our dignity. The Nerevarine is the last hope the Ashlanders have. I will let no Outlander steal this hope from us. These are serious words, words of life and death. I see honor and merit in you, and am proud to name you clan friend. But take care what you say and do in the name of the Nerevarine. Now go question Nibani Maisa, and learn all she can tell you. Is there something
Speak, traveler.
for you?
Go ahead. Do you have questions about the Nerevarine prophecies? Have you come to see if you passed the test? Go ahead. Do you have questions about the Nerevarine prophecies? Have you come to see if you passed the test? Do you think you are the Nerevarine? Perhaps you are. We shall see. This is the best known of the Nerevarine prophecies. We call it the Stranger. When earth is sundered and skies choked black, and sleepers serve the 7 curses, to the hearth there comes a stranger, journeyed far neath moon and star. Though stark born to sire uncertain, his aspect marks his certain fate. Wicked stalk him, righteous curse him, prophets speak but all deny. Many trials make manifest, the stranger's fate, the curse's bane. Many touchstones try the stranger, many fall but one remains. Rumors say that in the towns, mad cultists called sleepers are attacking people, saying that Dagoth-Ur has awakened and will drive the Outlanders from Morrowind. Perhaps it is just a coincidence, but I think it is a sign of the Nerevarine. Not necessarily a sign that you are the Nerevarine. Perhaps the time of the Nerevarine has come, and you have come at the same time. This is not passing a test, but it may mean you have some part to play in the coming of the Nerevarine. Dagoth-Ur is the devil and the enemy. Dagoth-Ur and his beasts and servants are the source of many evils that beset the Dunmer and Morrowind. Dagoth-Ur dwells in fiery caverns beneath Red Mountain, served by his kin, called ash vampires, and by legions of deformed monsters. 7 trials. What he puts his hand to, that shall be done. What is left undone, that shall be done. First trial. On a certain day to uncertain parents incarnate moon and star reborn. Second trial. Neither blight nor age can harm him. The curse of flesh before him flies. Third trial. In caverns dark Azura's eye sees, and makes to shine the moon and star. Fourth trial. A stranger's voice unites the houses. 3 halls call him Hortator. Fifth trial. A stranger's hand unites the Velothi. 4 tribes call him Nerevarine. Sixth trial. He honors blood of the tribe unmourned. He eats their sin and is reborn. Seventh trial. His mercy frees the cursed false gods, binds the broken, redeems the mad. One destiny. He speaks the law for Veloth's people. He speaks for their land and names them great. What does this prophecy mean? It tells us who the Nerevarine will be, and the trials he must undergo before he fulfills his destiny. Some parts I understand, some parts I do not. I will answer your questions as best I can, but I cannot pretend to understand it all. I will give you what counsel I can, but I only see what may be, not what must be. Veloth's people are the Dunmer, all Dunmer, Ashlander, and Greathouse. The last time the Velothi were united were with Nerevar at the Battle of Red Mountain. Now Nerevar will come once again and unite the Dunmer. He will restore Morrowind to the Dunmer and restore the former greatness of the Velothi people. In ancient days, the Deep Elves and a great host of Outlanders from the west came stealing the land of the Dunmer. In that time, Nerevar was the great Khan and war leader of the House people, but he honored the ancient spirits and the tribal law. and became as one of us. So, when Nerevar pledged upon his great ring of the ancestors, one clan under moon and star, to honor the ways of the spirits and rights of the land, all the tribes joined the house people fighting a great battle at Red Mountain. Though many Dunmer, tribesmen, and housemen died at Red Mountain, the Dwemer were defeated and their evil magics destroyed, and the Outlanders driven from the land. But after this great victory, the power-hungry Khans of the great houses slew Nerevar in secret, set themselves up as gods, and forgot Nerevar's promises to the tribes. But Nerevar will come again and cast down the false gods, and by the power of his ring will make good his promises, honor the spirits, and drive the outsiders from the land. I have told you all I know. Go, think on what I've told you, and do what must be done. Go ahead. Do you have questions about the Nerevarine prophecies, or other questions to ask me? Or do you bring me news of the lost prophecies?
Nibani Maisa has said that she will share her counsel with you concerning the Nerevarine prophecies and how they may concern you. You will find her in her yurt.
Are you here to discuss your orders, or is there something else you want? You've spoken with Sul-Matuul and Nibani Maisa, and from what they say, it sounds like you could really be the Nerevarine. That's just incredible. But I'll have to get used to the idea. Let me try to get word to Mera Milo. Maybe she can find out whether the dissident priests have any lost prophecies. But in the meantime, I have a very tough assignment for you. Do you think you're ready? Don't get overconfident. But it so happens that I agree. You're ready. But just in case, I'm going to give you 400 drakes. Before you head out, make sure you outfit yourself with healing potions, new gear, a little training, whatever you think you need most. And remember, if you get in trouble, back off, rest up, and go back fresh. Don't get cocky. I think this will be a tough one. Here's your mission. Fort Buckmoth sent a patrol to Gnar Mok, hunting smugglers with Sixth House connections. They found a Sixth House base, a Sixth House shrine, and a Sixth House priest named Dagoth Garrus. Speak to Champion Risa Pulia at Fort Buckmoth. She'll tell you about the patrol and the Sixth House base. Your orders: find that Sixth House base, kill Dagoth Garrus, and bring me a full report on the Sixth House base. Fort Buckmoth is the Imperial Legion's garrison for Redoran District. The fort lies south of Aldrun, a short walk from Aldrun's south gate. Champion Risa Pulia at Fort Buckmoth says a patrol found a Sixth House base in a cave the locals call Ilunibi. However, the one trooper who escaped to report has died of corpus disease. Before he died, the trooper reported fighting with monsters and cultists, and something about a powerful Sixth House priest called Dagoth Garrus. But go talk to Risa Pulia at Fort Buckmoth. She'll have all the details.
What, Outlander? Why do you disturb me? She's a hard woman, all right.
If I can help, I will, but don't take too much time. Now, where did I put that?
What assistance do you need? Why walk when I can guide?
Why walk when I can guide?
Yes, friend?
Another glorious day in the Empire.
Why should I speak with you, sir? There is no time for talk with you. Do not waste my time.
I'm creeping!
Why should I speak with you, Cyrodiil?
I couldn't possibly. Too busy.
There's something not right about you. Maybe you should...
Dirt, 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 dirt.
My time is
Everywhere,
precious,
dirt.
so make it
Yes,
quick.
friend. Yes, friend.
Speak quickly, Outlander, or go away.
My patience is limited.
Nothing gets you there faster than magic.
Nothing gets you there faster than magic.
Ajira knows that you are a good friend of Ajira. Sweet moon sugar. Sweet moon sugar. You can't escape!
Nibani Maisa, prophecies are but words. I would judge you by your deeds, the deeds of a war. Is there something I can do for you?
I will listen, Outlander, but make it quick.
Before the rule of Tiber Septim, all Tamriel was in chaos. The poet Trasisis called that period of continuous unrest days and nights of blood and venom. The kings were a petty lot of grasping tyrants who fought Tiber's attempts to bring order to the land. But they were as disorganized as they were dissolute, and the strong hand of Septim brought peace forcibly to Tamriel. The year was 2 E896. The following year, the emperor declared the beginning of a new era. Thus began the third era, Year Ort. For 38 years, the Emperor Tiber reigned supreme. It was a lawful, pious, and glorious age when justice was known to one and all, from serf to sovereign. On Tiber's death, it reigned for an entire fortnight, as if the land of Tamriel itself was weeping. The emperor's grandson, Pelagius, came to the throne. Though his reign was short, he was as strong and resolute as his father had been, and Tamriel could have enjoyed a continuation of the Golden Age. Alas, an unknown enemy of the Septim family hired that accursed organization of cutthroats, the Dark Brotherhood, to kill the Emperor Pelagius Septim as he knelt at prayer at the Temple of the One in the imperial city. Pelagius Septim's reign lasted less than 3 years. Pelagius had no living children, so the imperial crown passed to his first cousin, the daughter of Tiber's brother Agnerith. Kintyra, former queen of Silvanar, assumed the throne as Kintyra I. Her reign was blessed with prosperity and good harvests, and she herself was an avid patroness of art, music, and dance. Kintyra's son was crowned after her death, the first emperor of Tamriel to use the imperial name
You've spoken with
Uriel.
Sul-Matul and Nibani
Uriel I
Maisa,
was the
and
great
from what they
lawmaker
say,
of the Septim
it sounds
dynasty
like good,
and a
cautious
promoter
and
of
smart.
independent
I'm going
organizations
to give you the
and
mission,
guilds.
but here's your
Under
mission.
his kind but
Fort
firm
Buckmoth
hand,
sent a patrol to Gnar Mok, hunting smugglers with Sixth House connections. They found a Sixth House base, a Sixth House shrine, and a Sixth House priest named Dagoth. Are you here to discuss your orders? Your orders were to find that Sixth Champion Rais Apulia at Fort Buckmoth. Fort Buckmoth is the Imperial Legion.
What, Outlander? Why do you disturb me?
No, I don't.
Khajiit will make special deal, yes. Where would you like to go?
Volume 1 of this series described in brief the lives of the first 8 emperors of the Septim dynasty, beginning with the glorious Tiber Septim and ending with his great-great-great-great-grandniece Kintyra II. Kintyra's murder in Glenpoint while in captivity is considered by some to be the end of the pure strain of Septim blood in the imperial family. Certainly it marks the end of something significant. Uriel III not only proclaimed himself Emperor of Tamriel, but also Uriel Septim III, taking the eminent surname as a title. In truth, his surname was Mantiarco from his father's line. In time, Uriel III was deposed and his crimes reviled, but the tradition of taking the name Septim as a title for the Emperor of Tamriel did not die with him. For 6 years, the War of the Red Diamond, which takes its name from the Septim family's famous badge, tore the empire apart. The combatants were the 3 surviving children of Pelagius Septim, the second Fatima, Sepphoris, and Magnus, and their various offspring. Fatima, of course, supported her son, Uriel III, and had the combined support of all of Skyrim and northern Morrowind. With the efforts of Sepphoris and Magnus, however, the province of High Rock turned coat. The provinces of Hammerfell, Somerset Isle, Valenwood, Elsewhere, and Black Marsh were divided in their loyalty, but most kings supported Sepphoris and Magnus. In year 127 of the Third Era, Uriel III was captured at the Battle of Ichidag in Hammerfell. En route to his trial in the imperial city, a mob overtook his prisoner's carriage and burned him alive within it. His captor and uncle continued on to the imperial city, and by common acclaim was proclaimed Sepphoris I, Emperor of Tamriel. Sepphoris's reign was marked by nothing but war. By all accounts, he was a kind and intelligent man, but what Tamriel needed was a great warrior, and he, fortunately, was that. It took an additional 10 years of constant warfare for him to defeat his sister Potema, the so-called Wolf Queen of Solitude, who died in the siege of her city-state in the year 137. Sepphoris survived his sister by only 3 years. He never had time during the war years to marry, so it was his brother, the fourth child of Pelagius Septim II, who assumed the throne. The Emperor Magnus was already elderly when he took up the imperial diadem, and the business of punishing the traitorous kings of the War of the Red Diamond drained much of his remaining strength. Legend accuses Magnus's son and heir, Pelagius Septim III, of patricide.
What do you want?
But that seems highly unlikely, for no other reason than that Pelagius was King of Solitude following the death of Potema, and seldom visited the imperial city. Pelagius Septim III, sometimes called Pelagius the Mad, was proclaimed emperor in the 145th year of the Third Era. Almost from the start, his eccentricities of behavior were noted at court. He embarrassed dignitaries, offended his vassal kings, and on one occasion marked the end of an imperial grand ball by attempting to hang himself. His long-suffering wife was finally awarded the regency of Tamriel, and Pelagius Septim III was sent to